she sat in the back of his taxi, and every morning, Andre fell in love a little more. It wasn't the kind of love he could explain to his friends at the taxi stand. To them, she was just another passenger, quiet, ordinary, blending into the morning rush like everybody else. But to Andre, she was different. From the first day she slipped into his back seat, head bent over her phone, earphones in, he felt something stir inside him, a kind of pull. Andre drove the May Pen to Old Harbour route, a job he'd been doing for 2 years now. The mornings were always the same. Passengers grumbling about the fare, school children shouting jokes, vendors calling out from the roadside, "Donuts, donuts, Patty Pond's sale." But on the days she came into his taxi, the chaos felt quieter, as if the whole play melted into the background. She never said much, just "Good morning, driver," in a soft voice that Andre swore he could recognize anywhere. Sometimes she had a book in her hand, sometimes just her phone. She never chatted with other passengers, never got caught up in the loud conversations about politics, dancehall beef, or TikTok drama. She was in her own little world. Andre wished he could be part of that world. But every time he thought about saying something as simple as, "What's your name?" his throat closed up. What if she thought he was just another taxi man trying to harass her? What if she stopped taking his route altogether? He couldn't risk it, so he kept his words locked inside, driving and hoping day after day. This morning, though, was different. He spotted her walking toward the stand, sunlight bouncing off her skin, tote bag neatly tucked under her arm. Andre's heart kicked in his chest. She was coming, like always. But then another man appeared, tall, confident, with a grin that looked a little too familiar with her. He stepped into the taxi right after her and slid into the seat beside her, leaning back like he owned the place. "Susan?" the man exclaimed. Andre's hands froze on the steering wheel. Susan! That was her name. He repeated it in his mind like a secret song. "Susan, Susan, Susan." She looked up, startled, then broke into a wide smile. "Darren, I can't believe it's really you! From high school days, I don't see you. What you doing back in Jamaica?" Andre's stomach sank. High school? Old friends? That kind of laugh they shared wasn't just friendly, it was full of memories. "I just came back from foreign," Darren said, his voice smooth. "Couldn't stay away from yard too long." Andre started the engine, but his mind was racing. Darren was a foreigner. That already gave him an advantage. Girls loved a man who came back from overseas, dressed nice and smelling like expensive cologne. Andre suddenly became painfully aware of the sweat clinging to his shirt collar, the wear on his taxi seats, the honking horns pressing him to move faster. As the taxi pulled out, the conversations inside picked up. 2 ladies in the back argued about the high price of yam and tomato in the market. A schoolboy begged his friend for some of his lunch money. The old lady in the front muttered under her breath about the heat and the lack of AC. But all Andre could hear was Susan's laughter. He stole a glance through the rearview mirror. Darren was leaning in, telling her stories from abroad. Susan's eyes sparkled, her shoulders brushed against his, and she didn't pull away. Andre's chest tightened. He'd spent months hoping for just one real conversation with her. And now, this stranger. No, this old flame was stealing her attention in a single ride. At the 19 Miles bus stop, the 7-seater taxi filled up even more. A vendor leaned in through the window, trying to sell fresh water fish. Someone complained about the music Andre was playing, so he turned the volume down. Through it all, Darren kept talking, and Susan kept listening. Andre gripped the steering wheel tighter. He wanted to interrupt, to say something, anything. But what? "Susan, you like dancehall?" No, that sounded foolish. "Susan, I see you every morning?" That sounded like stalking. So he stayed silent, his jaw clenched. while his heart beat louder than the taxi's engine. By the time they reached Old Harbour, most passengers had gotten off at Freetown and Avery Housing Scheme. Only Susan, Darren, and one elderly woman remained. Andre's palms were sweating. Maybe this was his last chance. Maybe he should just say something before she left. Susan dug into her bag and pulled out her fare. She handed it to Andre with that same gentle smile. "Thank you, driver." Her voice was sweet, but it cut through him like a knife. That was all she'd ever say to him. But before Andre reply or even take the money, Darren said, "No, keep your money, Sue. I will pay your fare," and handed Andre a $5,000 note. Susan giggled and accepted while putting back her money in her bag. Darren told Andre to keep the change, but Andre didn't even realize that the change can cover an entire trip. He didn't respond. All he could hear was Darren telling Susan that he will walk her to the office. Susan laughed, nodding as they both walked towards Gateway Plaza. Andre's fingers tightened around the steering wheel. Through the window, he watched Darren place his hand on Susan's arm as they disappeared. Andre wondered if he had lost her before he even had the courage to try. But what Andre didn't know was that this morning's ride was only the beginning, and destiny wasn't finished with him yet. This is the end of part 1. Stay tuned for part 2. And please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe.